Alrighty, folks, you know I'm feeling great on a Thursday morning, obviously because NFL is back. And I'm also 10-2 in my last dozen daily best plays on my premium page. And that's good for 83% during that stretch. And the good news is, folks, I have another daily best play going off here this evening. And if you sign up for that membership here today, it's only going to cost you just $1.99 for 30 days of service. The math works out to be just 6 cents a day. Now, you may be wondering what the difference is between what I do here on YouTube and what I do on my premium page. Well, what I do here on YouTube is I'll handicap the entire slate of games in any given sport, side and total. And what I do on my premium page is I actually share with you which one of these free picks on these videos that I actually like the best. I currently have over 680 members. We're signed up and active on my website right now. And once again, I'm 10-2 in my last dozen daily best plays, 8-4 in my last dozen extra daily picks. And last but certainly not least, I'm a perfect 3-0 in my last 3 board member tier package picks. And the good news is, folks, I have plays going off in all of those packages here today on Thursday. And once again, folks, the link for my premium page is in the description section below. It is patreon.com/BrockPage. And with that, folks, let's go ahead and dive into some free content. We're obviously going to start off with the Lions at the Chiefs, 8:20 p.m. East. Of course, that is Thursday night football. That is the season opener. Kansas City's -4.5. Totals 53 and a hook. Now, the world champion Chiefs, they do have a banged-up Travis Kelce right now. Currently battling, I believe it's a bone bruise, so could be sitting out here today for the Chiefs. But regardless of Kelce's injury, I actually think Andy Reid's going to try. He's going to try to establish some sort of run game here today because the Lions had one of the worst rush defenses in the league last season. Detroit actually allowed over 157 yards a game on the ground while traveling. So for a team who preaches nothing but toughness, well, they really weren't all that tough stopping the run. And obviously, you've got a Kansas City offense who's got a ton of weapons and they can throw it at will, even without Kelce in the lineup. Patrick Mahomes, he threw for over 5,200 yards in the regular season last year, 41 touchdowns. The Chiefs also led the league in yards per play. And once again, this Detroit defense, they actually allowed more yards per play from scrimmage than any other team in the NFL. Now, they also allowed most of their points in the final quarter. So with all that said and done, we're going to take Kansas City -4.5 in the season opener. All right, next game. Let's go ahead and dive into some Sunday action. And we're going to start off with the Cardinals at the Commanders, 1 o'clock Eastern kickoff on Sunday, September 10th, 2023. My birthday. 9-10, Big Brock. I'm not going to tell you what I'm turning, but it's getting up there. It is. But happy birthday to me. Anyway, Washington's -7, totals 38. Now, I got to imagine the Commanders can cover this number here. I'm not overly excited about them, but they did have an insanely tough defense last year that not a lot of people talk about. Jamin Davis, he was the club leader in tackles. Deron Payne had 11.5 sacks. The Commanders did a great job shutting down both the run and the pass. And they're facing an Arizona club who really couldn't do either last season. And looks like they're going to have to go to work here today with Joshua Dobbs as the starting quarterback. These guys were already in the bottom 3 in the NFC in yards per play with Kyler Murray at the helm. So I'm expecting a little bit more of the same here on Sunday. Now, when it comes to defensive play, the Cards allowed more points per game than any other roster besides one. So this was a team who really was bad on both sides of the football. And when it comes to the total, I'm not sure either team is good enough offensively to help put this one over. Plus, I just can't imagine Arizona is going to move this ball too much against this Washington D. Give me the Commanders -7, under 38. Next ball game, Panthers-Falcons, 1 o'clock Eastern start time. Atlanta's -4, totals 39.5. And even though Desmond Ridder seems like a safe choice for Atlanta, he played in just 4 games last year and had only 115 pass attempts. So I'm actually viewing him as a rookie as well. He's got rookie sample size experience, very little game experience, very little meaningful game experience as well. And in that short sample size, he threw for just $177 a game, and he currently has only 2 career touchdown passes in 4 games. Now, this Atlanta defense also had a tough time slowing down the run, and I've got to imagine Carolina's going to run the ball considerably. The youngster Bryce Young at quarterback, he's making his career debut, and I don't think they're slinging it 50 times here on Sunday. I don't even think he can see over the offensive line. He looks like a peewee player out there. He's a small guy. Now, this Carolina offensive line, they did help these guys get into the top 10 last year in rush yards per game. They really didn't turn it over an awful lot either. When it comes to the total, I think both quarterbacks, they're going to, they might have a little success moving the football because neither club has an absolutely dominating defense. I don't think this is a popular play here. Give me Carolina +4 over 39.5. All right, next game should be a good one. Bengals-Browns, 1 o'clock East. Cincinnati's 2.5, totals 48. Now, obviously, we have the injury to Joe Burrow. I think Cincy's dragging their feet with his status because you got to make Cleveland prepare for 2 quarterbacks. But overall, we know Joey B is going to play. You know Joey B is suiting up for this one. Coming off yet another solid season. Burrow threw for about 280 a game in the regular season last year, along with 35 tutties. And obviously, the duo of Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, they combined for well over 2,000 yards receiving between the both of them. And I'll tell you what, for a team who throws a lot, the Bengals dominated in time of possession. So look for those long sustained drives, even though they're slinging it around. Now, defensively, the Bengals did do a really nice job stuffing the run last year, and they are going to need that against Cleveland Sunday because they're going to have to slow down this Browns backfield. And if they do that, they got a real opportunity to win. Cleveland's definitely not known for airing it out. I don't think they're going to throw for 300 on Sunday. Now, defensively, as good as this Browns secondary was in spots last year, Cleveland did still allow over 5.5 yards per play from scrimmage at home. They were also one of the more heavily penalized teams in the AFC. Now, 8 out of these teams' last 10 gatherings did get over the total. We have had a handful of fun ones over the years. So if you're into historical trends, plenty of overs to go around. Give me Cincinnati -2.5 over 48. Next game, Texans-Ravens, 1 o'clock East. Baltimore's -10, totals 43.5. Now, I think Baltimore can score a lot. I think Baltimore can cover. They ran for about $160 a game last year, and they had a handful of contests without Lamar Jackson. So they put up good numbers rushing-wise without Lamar. And, of course, this Baltimore defense, they were really tough to score against. They hardly gave up any points for most part of the season, and they recorded a boatload of fumbles. Patrick Queen, he was the club leader in tackles, and he had a handful of fumble recoveries. Meanwhile, Williams and Humphrey, they had 7 combined interceptions from that Baltimore defensive backfield. They're facing a Houston club who's going to throw C.J. Stroud out there to the Wolves. This Houston O-line allowed 38 sacks last season, a little bit over 2 a game they averaged. And the worst problem for Houston is this rush defense. They allowed more yards a game on the ground last year than any other franchise in the league. They couldn't stop anything. I think the Ravens put this one over themselves. It could be like 44-0 here. Give me Baltimore -10 over 43.5. All right, next matchup, little divisional game here. Jags-Colts, 1 o'clock East. Jacksonville's -4.5, totals 45. Now, I do think the Jags continue to build on what they had last year. These guys were a top 5 scoring team in the AFC on the road. when it comes to defensive play, these guys did a nice job stopping the run. And they're going to need that on Sunday because I think Indy's going to be running the football an awful lot. Foy Oluwakin, he had 184 tackles for the Jags and a dozen tackles for loss. Josh Allen had 7 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, and a scoop and score. And he's going to be rushing the newcomer Anthony Richardson. The youngster went just 6-7 in his career at the University of Florida. He completed only 53% of his passes last season with the Gators, and he threw just 17 touchdowns. This wasn't even a highly touted guy coming out of college, and he's going to get the start in week 1. This is probably going to be a rough one for him. I'll tell you what, he's certainly not going to help this Indy offense, who scored fewer points a game than any other team last year except for one. The Colts averaged just 19 points a game in their last 10 gatherings with the Jags as well, so they really struggled in recent head-to-head meetings. Now, Jacksonville saw 4 out of their final 5 ball games of 2022 stay under the total. Give me Jacksonville minus 4.5, under 45. Next ball game, Niners, Steelers, 1 o'clock East. San Francisco's minus 3, totals 41.5. Now, I'm not completely sold on the quarterback position in San Francisco. Not sold on their quarterback room. But anyway, Brock Purdy, he averaged just 152 yards passing last year in the regular season. And who knows how that injury has healed. You know, we're not even, we don't know if we're going to see a 100% Brock Purdy here. Now, speaking of injuries, the Niners' leading rusher is an injury-prone Christian McCaffrey, who actually rushed for only 746 yards in the regular season. San Francisco is facing a Pittsburgh team who was tough against the run last year, especially at Heinz Field. Now, I know it's called Acrisure Stadium, but it will always be called Heinz Field to me. That's ludicrous how that stadium and Heinz just couldn't. I mean, that stadium will always be Heinz Field. But anyway, Pittsburgh, they had a top 3 rush defense at home in the AFC. Alex Highsmith had 14.5 sacks on the year. Cam Hayward had 10.5 sacks himself. Look for these guys to get some pressure on this San Francisco offensive line, who got, 3 or 4 different quarterbacks badly injured last year. A lot of folks make excuses for San Francisco. Oh, if we had a quarterback, we could have done some things. No, you got your quarterbacks injured. If you would have protected your quarterbacks, yeah, maybe so. But you got your quarterbacks injured. So I don't want to hear any of that stuff. But total-wise, make no mistake about it, we're seeing 2 of the toughest defensive clubs in the game, at least on paper. The Steelers also saw 4 out of their final 6 ball games of 2022 stay under the line. Give me Pittsburgh plus 3, under 41.5. All right, next matchup, Bucks, Vikes, 1 o'clock Eastern kickoff. Minnesota is the 6-point favorite, totals 45. And for a team laying a touchdown here, well, I'm not so sure Minnesota's good enough defensively. They allowed more yards a game through the air at home than any other secondary in the league last year. They had a tough time stopping the pass. As a matter of fact, this Vikings defensive unit, they allowed over 5.9 yards per play from scrimmage last season. Now, I get it. Tampa's not going to come out guns blazing offensively. These guys aren't going to put up 50 points. But I do think they can do good enough defensively to keep themselves in it. Tampa was in the top 3 in the NFC last year in fewest points allowed on the road. They played tough away from Tampa. Levante David and Devin White, they had nearly 250 tackles between the both of them. Now, this Tampa secondary also did a real nice job defending the pass. And when it comes to the total, I don't really expect a defensive clinic in this one. The Vikes did go 8-2 to the over in their final 10 ball games of 2022 as well. Give me Tampa Bay plus 6, over 45. I think that one will be a little bit closer than people think. All right, next matchup, Titans, Saints, 1 o'clock East. New Orleans is -3 at home. Total is 42. Now, I think, where is it at? Did I pass it? Do I keep passing it? It's not up there, is it? Or am I just not seeing it? Yeah, not up there. Weird. But anyway, Titans, Saints, 1 o'clock East. New Orleans is -3. Total's 42. Now, I actually think Derek Carr should have a field day with this Tennessee defense. This Titans secondary allowed more yards a game through the air last year than any other team in the NFL. Their secondary was horrible. And when it comes to defensive play, I think the Saints should expose the one-dimensional offense of Tennessee. New Orleans was in the top 3 in the NFC in fewest yards allowed per play. Demario Davis led the charge with 109 tackles. Matthew and Werner had over 170 tackles between the both of them. Now, once again, they're facing a Tennessee team who's no threat throwing the football. These guys threw for a pitiful 135 yards a game on the road. And this Tennessee O-line, they allowed 49 total sacks last year. And just for reference on how little of a threat these guys are to throw the football, their leading returning receiver is actually tight end Chiggy Okonkwo. He averaged just 26 yards a game receiving last year. Now, total-wise, we did see a ton of unders between both of these teams last year. Tennessee went 7-3 to the under in their last 10. Meanwhile, New Orleans went 9-1 to the under in their final 10 ball games of 2022 themselves. Give me the Saints -3, under 42. All right, next matchup should be an absolute doozy. It's the Packers at the Bears, 425 East. Green Bay is the 1-point favorite on the road. Total's 42.5. Now, I'll tell you, I don't particularly trust the new-look Packers. Really tough for an organization as a whole to replace a generational talent like Aaron Rodgers, although they have done it in the past. But Green Bay also lost their leading receiver in Allen Lazard, as well as tight end Robert Tonyan. Their top returning receiver is a guy named Christian Watson. He averaged just 43 yards receiving a game last year. Meanwhile, on the other side of the football, defensive leader Adrian Amos, he left town for New York as well. And as bad as Justin Fields was throwing the football last year, well, he didn't really get a whole lot of time. He was sacked an embarrassing amount of times last year. But as bad as Chicago was throwing the football, they did manage to rush for over 3,000 yards last year as a team, so they can run it. They also returned safety Jaquan Brisker on defense, who had 104 tackles and forced a couple of turnovers. Now, look, this is going to be an ugly game. I'm not excited for it. I really don't care much about it. I'd be surprised if either quarterback threw for over 175 yards. This game could end in a tie. But if that is the case, I want the team catching a point. Give me Chicago +1, under 42.5. All right, next matchup should be an interesting one. It is the Raiders at the Broncos, 425 East. Denver's the 4-point favorite at Mile High Stadium. Total's 44. And I'll tell you what, I'm not sure of the chemistry between Russ and Sean Payton. I don't think there's going to be a lot of synergy there. Payton's kind of a crass, no-nonsense guy, and Russ is kind of fluffy and overly positive. Kind of fake.
Not to mention the players.
He's not a fake guy, but the over positivity, it's a little exhausting. Plus, to be fair, Russ really stunk last year. Had a talented defense behind him and really failed. Russ barely completed 60% of his passes, and he threw only 16 touchdowns for the entire season. He was obviously a very little threat with his legs. The quarterback averaged just 18 yards a game on the ground. And one more thing to add, the Broncos really, they didn't have a 1,000-yard rusher or receiver on the team last year. They're facing a Raider team who wasn't great defensively themselves last year, but they did do a nice job slowing down the run on the road. They play good rush defense when traveling. And, of course, they also return a dominant force in Max Crosby. He had 89 tackles from the edge, along with 12.5 sacks. Crosby also forced 3 fumbles and had a staggering 22 tackles for loss. And of course, as much as people disregard Jimmy Garoppolo, he's had a ton more success in this league than a lot of other quarterbacks. He wins games. He doesn't lose them for you. He doesn't do too much. Doesn't do too little. You know what you're getting. It's the most consistent guy. Now, total-wise, points have come at a premium in this rivalry. 7 out of these teams' last 10 gatherings fell under. 4 out of the Raiders' final 6 ball games of 2022 also stayed under. Give me Las Vegas +4, under 44. Next game, little divisional game here. Rams, Seahawks, 425 East. Seattle's 5.5 at home. Total's 46. And although I don't like this number here, I think the Seahawks do cover in this spot. They're efficient enough on offense to move the football. They've also been tough to throw against on their own field. Reek Woolen had 6 interceptions from the secondary last season. Jordan Brooks had 161 tackles. Probably 2 guys you don't hear much about, but they had very good seasons last year. And they're taking on a Rams team who scored just 13 points a game last year on the road. Really struggled offensively in their travels. And even though Matt Stafford should be healthy enough to perform, I just think him and McVay mentally checked out after that Super Bowl win. A lot of veterans on this team. It was such a grind for all of them to get that Super Bowl victory. And like I said, I just feel like a bunch of these Rams veterans, they're kind of like left with nothing much more to prove. They've all had great careers. They got that ring. I don't know. Lack of enthusiasm, I think, in that locker room. 4 out of Seattle's last 5 ball games of 2022 fell under. Give me Seattle -5.5, under 46. Our next game, interesting one here, should be a good one. Dolphins, Chargers, 425 East. LA's -3, totals 51. Now, this does feel like a shootout game, and I do like Herbert over Tua, if that is the case. Justin threw for over 4,700 yards last year, completed nearly 70% of his passes. He's going up against a Miami secondary who was one of the worst in the league last year. They were in the bottom 3 in yards allowed through the air on the road. And speaking of road games, Miami allowed more points a game on the road than any other team in the league. And if you can slow down Hill and Waddle on offense, well, the Finns did very little to establish a run game. Their leading rusher, Raheem Mostert, he averaged just 55 yards a game on the ground last year. And if this game does turn out to be a close one, the Dolphins continuously shot themselves in the foot last year with penalties. Same coach, same culture. Not real sure how they're going to clean that up. Now, no real surprise here. 6 out of Miami's final 10 ball games did get over the total. Meanwhile, the Chargers went 60% to the over in their final 10 ball games of 2022 themselves. Give me the Chargers -3, over 51. Next ball game, Eagles, Patriots, 425 East. Philadelphia's -4 on the road, totals 45. And if you're a Philly backer here, this game's a little bit more tricky than you think. Playing in Foxborough in your season opener, no easy task. Plus, Super Bowl hangovers are very real, especially for runners-up. Now, defensively, the Birds lost their defensive coordinator and their top 5 tacklers. Their top 5 tacklers, all gone. Meanwhile, on the offensive side of things, the Birds lost their OC, Shane Steichen, as well as 1,200-yard rusher Miles Sanders. Now, they're facing a Patriots team on the other side of things who was very tough to score against at Gillette Stadium last year. The Pats were in the top 3 in fewest yards allowed per play at home. And a lot of that was thanks to this New England secondary. These guys allowed just 186 yards a game through the air in Foxborough. Jawan Bentley had a team-high 125 tackles. Jonathan Jones had 4 interceptions, 3 forced fumbles, and he blocked a kick as well. 6 out of the Pats' final 10 ball games last year did stay under the number. Philadelphia went 5-2 to the under in their last 7. Give me the Patriots +4, under 45. Next contest, Cowboys-Giants, 8:20 p.m. East. Dallas is -4, totals 46. Now, Dallas should have little issue getting the job done here. But for some reason, I just remember Dallas choking in obvious spots like this. They obviously have more talent, and they're better in almost every aspect of the game. I just can't remember the last time they won a season opener. I think it was it back in like 2019? If they have, it hasn't been many. But I think like the last time they won an opener was like 2019. It just feels like these guys always go into week 1 flat. Like I feel like their camps aren't as tough and as physical as other organizations. I don't know. I think these guys are going to have a tough time slowing down the run. They're facing a Giants team who ran for over $1.52 a game in the Meadowlands last year. When it comes to defensive play, this Giants secondary played pretty well at home. They allowed under 190 yards a game passing at MetLife Stadium. That could have a tough game. Dexter Lawrence and Azeez Ojulari, they had 13 sacks between the both of them. When it comes to the total, 7 out of these teams' last 10 gatherings did get over the total. So once again, if you're into historical trends, certainly want to think about that one there. Giants went 7-3 to the over in their last 10 games of 2022. Give me the Giants +4 over 46. And with that, folks, we're going to jump into our next and final matchup for the video. It's going to be in that Bills-Jets game, 8:15 East. Buffalo's -2.5, totals 46 and a hook. Unfortunately, guys, I hate to do this to you, but I can't give you a free play on this one. I'm sorry. This game is being featured as one of my NFL tier membership package plays on my premium page this week. So if you want to see whether I'm making a play on the Bills-Jets or the total in this one, this game is once again being featured as one of my NFL tier package membership plays on patreon.com/BrockPage. And with that, folks, we're going to go ahead and jump into our quick pick recap. Give me the Chiefs -4.5, getting the job done against the spread. Commanders -7, under 38. Panthers +4, over 39.5. And following Wednesday's sports betting action, I'm now 10-2 in my last dozen $1.99 daily best plays on my premium page. That's good for 83% during that span. And the good news is, folks, I have another $1.99 daily best play going off each and every single day on that page. The link for that pick is in my bio. Give me the Bengals -2.5, over 48. Ravens -10, over 43.5. Jaguars -4.5, under 45. Steelers +3, under 41.5. Buccaneers +6, over 45. Saints -3, under 42. Bears +1, under 42.5. Raiders +4, under 44. Seattle -5.5, under 46. Chargers -3, over 51. Patriots +4, under 45. Giants +4, over 46. And I have no free pick for you in the Bills-Jets game. And with that, folks, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on my premium page. And just a friendly reminder, guys, if you do end up signing up for a membership on that site, you're going to get access to that membership you sign up for every single day for the next 30 days. And as an added bonus, you're also going to get access to all of my cheaper memberships absolutely free. They're going to be included with your purchase. That's why I always tell folks in my prior videos that Chairman package, it's a full access, all-inclusive membership. It gives you access to every single personal play of mine, every single package, every single day for the next 30 days. And as an added bonus, you also get access to my podcast on that site absolutely free. It's included with your purchase. But most importantly, folks, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that, folks, happy Thursday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.